Hello everyone. In today's video, I will continue to show you use cases of regular expressions. In the first example, we're going to do a partial lookup. And in the second example, we're going to do a partial lookup with more than one criteria. Let's dive right in. In this first example, I have a sales record here, and it contains description with the SKUs. However, I just want to get the amount of this 14 SKUs. And if I have to visually look for where there's SKU 838, I have to scroll down here. There it is. And then copy $30, paste it over here. Do the same for 127, 157, but that is too much of a hassle. I can use the inbuilt regex option in XLOOKUP. And that's what we will be looking at in the first example. So I'm going to type equals XLOOKUP. And what's my lookup value? It's going to be this. And where's the lookup array? It's, of course, where I have the description. I will select this, use Shift Control down to select everything, hit F4 just to lock that reference in. And where is the return array? I'm looking for the amount. So I'm going to come here, use Shift Control down, hit F4. And now I'm going to go to the match mode. In previous examples, we've done XLOOKUP with exact match, and that's because what we have here in the lookup value matches the source data value word for word. But in this case, we're doing a partial lookup. We're trying to look for 838 within a string of other text and numbers. So in this instance, we're going to select the regex match. But first, let me select the exact match and let's see what's going to happen. So I'm going to double click 0 here, close parenthesis, hit enter. And you can see that it's not available. But watch what happens if I go here. I'm going to copy this text and I'm going to paste it here. Now it finds the $30 because it's doing an exact match. But we're not doing an exact match here. We're doing a partial match. So I'm going to undo this, undo. And here, what I just need to do is to change from exact match to a regex match. So if I double click this time, select the 3 option, close parenthesis, enter. Now it returns the $30. And I can double click and there you have it. Let's do some verification here. Where do we have 549? I can use the filter function to find this, and I'll hit Alt HSF. And there I have the filter, and we're looking for 549. It should return, it should have a 1000 value, so 549. And there you have it. That's 1000. I'm going to clear this. Let's do another random check 937. That should be 2255. 937. Okay, and we see it's 2255. So that is a very powerful way for you to do partial lookups. For the second example, I have a check register right here, and I would like to look through the bank statement to see if these checks have been processed. If they've been processed, I'd like to return the date that it was processed. However, there's a problem here. In the check register, I have used the vendor names in this column, but if we look through the bank statement, we see there are some other strings of text, and it's also inconsistent. Here, they've just used a dash. Here, they've used 2. And if we look down, we're going to see some other examples where Nectobot here is in all uppercase, and here it's in lowercase. We see artificial quotient having the words artificial in full uppercase, and we also have here where it's a sentence case. So there's a lot of mix here of how the data was entered in the bank, but we have to try to match both vendor and the amount so we can return the accurate dates. Because if we also try to do a lookup using the amount, the data may not be accurate, because for instance here I have 2500 and there's more than one amount for 2500. I can see that visually here. So to solve this problem, we will be using a combination of 2 formulas. The first one is going to be XLOOKUP, and then we're going to be combining it with regex test. Before we dive into the solution, I would like to introduce you to the concept of Boolean logic. So I'm going to navigate to this sheet. And in this data set, I'm just trying to return zeros and ones so I can use it as a filter in Power BI. And what I'm trying to do here is to find any of the products that have at least a quantity of 40 and the color is red. So what I've done is to combine if formula with the AND logic, just so I can return a 1 if it's true and a 0 if it's not true. If I have to use this formula with XLOOKUP and Regex, it becomes too complicated. So I want to show you how you can do the same thing using the Boolean logic. So what I'm going to do here is to enter the Boolean logic function. And here's how we're going to start. We're going to go with the equals sign, open parentheses, and first argument is this cell greater than or equal to 40? And then we're going to close parentheses, and then we're going to use the asterisk sign. And again, open parentheses and say, is this cell equals to red? Close parentheses. So what I'm trying to do here is, instead of using if combined with AND logic, I'm doing the same inside one single formula here. And I'm going to hit enter, and you see we have a 0. If I send this down, we have exactly the same results. So I will be applying this Boolean logic in the second example instead of using if formula. So in order for us to return the date here, we are going to combine the XLOOKUP function with the regex test. So I'll do equal XLOOKUP. For the first argument, I will be using 1 as the lookup value. And that is because I have to do 2 tests here. First is if the partial match is true and the amount is true, I want to return a 1. And based off of that, it's going to return the date from the data array. So, comma. Now the lookup array, so I'm going to use the regex test here. So I'm going to open parentheses and type regex. And here's this one, double click. And where is the text? The text is in here. So I'm going to use Shift Control down to select everything, F4 to lock the references, and Control backspace to go back all the way up. And it's asking what is the pattern. The pattern is going to be here. And it's asking for case sensitivity. In this one, I don't want it to be case sensitive because in the bank statement, there are some inconsistencies in how the text has been entered. So I'm going to double click this option. So I'm going to close this. So now I have only closed the regex test formula. So I need to close the Boolean logic by doing this. And then I'm going to put in the asterisk. And so the second test is to check if 2500 is part of the amount. So again, I'm going to open parentheses here and go and say from this amount, I use Shift Control down to select all of them, F4 to lock. The reference is equal, Control backspace to go all the way up, is equal this amount. And so I'm going to close that parenthesis. What I'm saying here is this is the lookup array. It's going to be a partial match for description and a match for the amount. And if both return a true value, then return the date. So what is the return array? That is where we have our date. So I'm going to go here, Shift Control down, F4 to lock the reference. I'm going to do Control backspace to go all the way up. And so comma, if not found, I don't want to do anything. In this case, I can use an exact match because I'm using the Boolean logic. So I can use exact match and close parentheses and hit enter. So the first check here will be to see if complex integrations 2500 is in fact on the 1st of October, and I can see it right here. It's this one. So I'm just going to highlight this. So I'm going to send out the formula. And so we want to check this one, gross flip grocers 946. I'm going to look for 946. And the date is 11th July 2025. Let's go up and check if in fact it is. It's 11th July 2025. So It's a little bit complex, but with practice, this is a very powerful tool for you to do a partial match with another criterion or multiple criteria, if you like. If you find this content useful, share with others, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.